Imagine you're an old man, walking outside in the street, minding your own business. You're trying to enjoy the day, which is already hard because, for some reason, you were born in the middle of the desert in the 7th century and have to take the heat every day. No wonder you come up with very messed up things during the day like, oh, I communicate with this angel every day that brings me messages from Allah, and Allah also gives me dreams about little girls that I could possibly marry. Anyways, you're walking outside and then you suddenly see a woman who also just happens to walk outside minding her own business. Her sight immediately troubles you. You feel like you need to have sex with this woman there because that's what women are there for, right? How could this woman just be walking out there and arousing you with her existence? She's almost like the devil. So you shake yourself and go home. Self-control is pretty hard for someone like you. You find one of your 9 wives busy tanning leather. You find her particularly attractive and implicitly expressed your interest in her when she was married to your adopted son, who even divorced her so you could marry her, because you are the Holy Prophet, and your desires come first. She's also your cousin, by the way. Anyways, she's busy tanning leather, but you don't care at all. You have an emergency right now, because that's what women are there for, right? Afterwards, you proudly and happily go out to your people and tell them the woman comes and goes in the shape of a devil, so when one of you sees a woman, he should come to his wife because that will repel what he feels in his heart. Okay, I don't think anyone can relate to this. I mean, what the hell? In case it is not very obvious and you can't already tell, this is a story about the pious Muhammad, Allah's favorite human. According to a report in the most fundamental sources of Islam, where we also learn how to pray and how to fast and how to go to the toilet, and all kinds of instructions so we can function as basic humans under Islam. Muhammad once saw a woman outside, so he came to his wife, Zainab, as she was tanning a leather and had sex with her. Probably not right there, I don't know, it sounds weird as it is. He then went to his companions and told them, the woman advances and retires in the shape of a devil, so when one of you sees a woman, he should go to his wife, which means have sex with his wife. I have read this hadith over and over again so many times in the last years, and I just can't get over how absurd this is. Muhammad in this incident is not a young man. This is a man who is almost 60 years old, that people go to guidance for, that people consider the Holy Prophet. A random woman uncontrollably arouses him, and she probably doesn't even know. If you are a woman, imagine that a 60-year-old man, whom you probably know and respect and casually greet, lusts after you so much that he immediately needs to go to one of his 9 wives to relieve the pressure because you aroused him. And afterwards he even calls you the devil. He compares you to the devil. The woman who walks outside minding her own business as the devil, not the man who can barely control himself and has probably already committed acts in his mind. Now, sure, you could say that Muhammad was just a man, and by Islamic standards only a human with desires. But Muhammad is supposed to be this perfect man, the perfect human. As Muslims often put it, the best human to walk the face of the earth. In a regular Muslim's, especially a moderate Muslim's, world and imagination, Muhammad is a man of absolutely supreme piety and patience. Someone who is perfect, nearly flawless, who is merely on a mission to establish Allah's will and to make himself and humanity submit to the Almighty Creator in Arabic. He is the final messenger, the seal of the prophets, whom everyone is supposed to imitate and honor every day. I know of so many Muslim women who would like to see Muhammad after they die and go and kiss his hands and feet. Yet think of how, according to this hadith at hand, you might go to this holy prophet out of devotion and love, but all he thinks about is how you sexually arouse him right now while kissing his feet. Which is why he thinks you, women, come and go in the shape of a devil. No wonder he said most women will go to hell, because you arouse him. As a pious Muslim woman, as it is very common, you might want to dream of the Holy Prophet Muhammad and consider this a huge event, a blessing in your life. When in return, the theme of Muhammad's dream about you would be something quite different if we look at this hadith. I know so many people, including myself, and I don't think this is something special. I rather think this is normal, who don't lose it when they see a woman outside. In fact, it is entirely normal that we interact with the opposite sex every day in modern societies, and don't constantly fantasize about screwing your neighbor, and humping your colleagues, and getting it on with random women at the grocery store. And when we go home, squeeze it out with our wives, our only wives. Because that's what women are there for, right? We would consider a person, as Muhammad is described in this hadith, as a troubled individual. It sounds to me very much like Muhammad suffered from hypersexuality, which we in a modern society treat as a medical condition that needs to be treated because it can be disturbing and debilitating. Many people who do suffer from it are still not remotely as bad as the Prophet Muhammad. Thinking of a 60-year-old man who lusts after random women in the street and has so many problems with that. People would probably... They shouldn't do that, but they would probably mock him as a perv. And we would generally choose to stay away from that man, as a society. I could see how in an Islamic society, however, where sexual frustration is prevalent, and women are repressed and altogether treated like intimate parts, people would have no issue with this hadith at all, and understand it and agree with it. In an Islamic society, women are supposed to be quiet, veiled, not unnecessarily go outside, not laugh loudly, not unnecessarily interact with other men, be in the background or the back room of society. In fact, have a separate room for the women. Because Islamic societies adopted the sick mind of a 7th century man, who said that if a man wants to have sex with his wife, she should immediately leave whatever she's doing, even if she's on the saddle of a camel, and have sex with him. And that if she doesn't go to him when he calls her to bed at night, angels would curse her through the night. A man who ordered his followers to speak to his wives only from behind a veil, because he himself would lust after random women. And he didn't want people to lust after his wives. He didn't want people to marry his wives after he's dead. This is a man who had a dozen wives and who still went around asking for more wives, despite the fact that his own followers were only allowed to have 4 wives. Only. What I understand from all of this is that I am seemingly more virtuous than the Prophet Muhammad. Actually, most people are more virtuous than the Prophet Muhammad. While a Muslim has to consider this guy a virtuous holy prophet, other people laugh about him and are disgusted by his example, because they are not obligated to love him and approve of everything that he is and does. No wonder we have weird reports telling us that Muhammad had the sexual strength of 30 men, which is something that no one believes and no one really wanted to know. Or that he would go around having sex with all his 9 or 11 wives in one night. Good to know. Muhammad was a disturbed individual, and by no means the man that Muslims want to think he was. Stop turning him into something he was not. He was a pervert. A coomer. He's the coomer prophet. You couldn't even trust him to last very long during November. How can you trust him as a holy prophet? That is all. Thank you so much. And please stay away from Islam. Oh, by the way, I totally forgot. David Wood and I were recently talking about this topic, and we decided to make videos about the same topic and publish them at the same time, and link them to each other, so people could see how each of us talks about this topic, what I have to say and what he has to say, basically which video is better. I already know that my video is better. Just kidding, it's not really about that, or maybe it is, I don't know. Anyways, you can find this video somewhere here, or also below in the description, and now you can stay away from Islam.